All right, well, here we are back again at Hybrid Dogs, and today we have Finn with us to help you see the method of food lure for puppy training. And the idea of food lure is just like it sounds. We're going to lure him into different positions using the treat in order for him to start to associate that treat with certain positions and certain words. And it's real fun for the puppy, and it's real easy to do. And when they're young like this, it's a great way to keep their focus and keep them happy as they start to learn. So the technique starts with having some treats. Today we have with us just some Cheerios and a little bit of freeze-dried liver. You can use whatever treats of your choice, but you want something that's going to be bite-sized so that you can give a lot of them to the puppy without them getting full. And you also want to keep in mind that the puppies have very sharp teeth, and even though you have a little treat, you want to make sure that you're keeping your fingers safe as you deliver the treat to the puppy. And so the way to properly show the treat to the puppy is by holding the treat in your fingers like this, between your thumb and your first two fingers here, and then presenting the whole treat with the back of your hand. Only when the puppy is gentle do we turn that treat over and let them have it. So if they're really trying to bite at it, the idea with presenting the treat this way is that they really can't get any sensitive fingertips, and so you can keep your whole hand safer by presenting the treat like this and then just turning it over as they are more gentle. So that's a tip for you. The other tip is what you see here, the leash in my hand. A lot of people try to do this when the puppy's off leash. Now later that'll be easier, but when you first start, this leash is very helpful in keeping the puppy kind of near you and at the same time keeping them positioned somewhat so that they're not getting too squirrely and too goofy, because of course puppies don't have a lot of attention span and they like to do all kinds of crazy things. And so have your leash, have your treats, and then be ready to present these in a safe way to your puppy. So this first one we're going to teach is a simple one, simply called sit. And so the idea with sit is we're going to say the word sit, and as I do, I'm going to say sit and lift the treat up and behind his head. And as he falls back to get a better look at that treat, he sits. So he's just losing his balance a little bit as he's looking up at that treat. He starts to teeter back naturally on his haunches. We say the word sit as he goes into the position of sit. So let's show you that one again. Good boy, Finn. I'm just even using the treat here to lure him up. And now we're going to say sit, lifting up and behind his head, waiting till he's gentle, turning that treat over and letting him have it. Good boy. You can give a little verbal praise with that as well. I like to throw that in early in the dog's training because we don't want to have treats with us for their whole life. And so we're going to use these now and use them often when they're puppies, usually from the time that they're 6 weeks all the way up until the time they're about 20 weeks, we use a lot of treats. And in doing so, we're creating a great positive experience for the dog, and we're letting them learn that learning is fun and that learning is rewarding, and that's something they'll carry with them for the rest of their life. So that's a really good way to start off with any good puppy. So here we are one more time, saying the word sit, lifting it up and behind the head. As they sit, we rotate our hand over when they're gentle, and we give the treat. I try to make sure that all their paws are on the ground as I give that treat too. So if your puppy is trying to crawl up your arm to grab at that treat, just remember, if you give the treat at that moment, then crawling up your arm is what your puppy is learning to do. So just be sure that when you do deliver that treat, that they're exactly in the position and in the right frame of mind to deliver that treat as a positive reward. Good. Good. You see that grinning he's doing? That's called submissive grinning. It's not aggressive at all, but some dogs do what we call smile, and that's what he's doing there. I like to reward sometimes just calm behavior. So if he just stays there in that sit position and waits patiently for that treat to get delivered, you can deliver treats that way and start to condition them at an early age to hold a sit position. But don't do it for too long. The average attention span for a puppy is only 6 seconds. This has been measured. So we can't have them sitting for more than 6 seconds or they'll forget that they were told to sit in the first place. Here we go. Next, we're going to show you the stand position, and this is a great one. People don't often teach, but it's a great one to have because it's wonderful for a groomer. It's wonderful for your veterinarian to do examinations. It's wonderful for you if you're going to put a vest or something like that on your dog, and it's even wonderful if you just want to wipe their feet when they come in from outside. So to teach the stand, we're just going to position the treat one of the dog's body lengths away and one of the dog's head heights. And so you got to imagine in your mind how tall is your dog going to be and how far away if we're going to position the treat that way. So right here I'm just going to say stand. Good. And I positioned it just right. And so he went from that sit just right up into that stand position, and we say the word stand. From here I can say the word sit. Good. And then we could do another one. Stand. Good. Good boy. Sit. Good. You don't have to give a treat for every single time they do something, but most times you want to make sure to reward that with a treat. Stand. Good. Sit. Good. Making sure he's still. You notice when he was pawing at it, I didn't give the treat. I waited till his paws went back down. Stand. Good. Good dog, Finn, again. Sit. Good. Good boy. Good dog. Stand. Good. Good boy. Good stand. Good stand. That's it. Just letting them stay in position, giving treats as they hold it. Good. Wonderful stuff. Good boy. Sit. Good. There we go. Just pulling away slightly when he starts to get a little bit too much motion. I'm trying to teach him to be nice and still. Stand. Good. It's taking the treats really nicely for us now. Sit. Good. Good. And you see how he's naturally trying to paw. He wants to get that as fast as he can. I don't want to reward that. So that's, him being a little impatient, getting too anxious to get that treat, and that promotes more of that kind of behavior if I deliver a treat when he's pawing at it. Stand. Very nice. That time I gave him a little piece of the liver. And so we've got the Cheerios, which are enough for a lot of puppies to work for. But there's definitely a different level of interest when we start getting some treats that have a little bit more, taste to them for the dog. So now, stand, sit. He may even get more, anxious to have the treat, see? And so it's good to start with kind of a blander treat because they're not as motivated to get it. And if they'll work for a blander treat at first, you can get that calm behavior. And then maybe they get bored with that bland treat, and then you bring out a different style treat, and they'll get more motivated to work for that. So you just got to experiment what works best for you and your dog. And the idea that, your dog can work motivated. The idea is that we want your dog to be motivated to want to work for you and motivated to get the reward, but not so extremely over agitated or overstimulated, not so overstimulated that they get too anxious and too vocal or pawing at you or any demand behavior we're trying to narrow down. So keep your leash with you. That helps. If he was going to get really anxious about jumping up and getting at my arm, I could literally use this to get him off of me. I didn't have to do that today with Finn, but I've sure had to do that with a number of dogs over the years. And so you may have one of those types of pups to deal with. But ultimately, we're just trying to continue to promote in the puppy's mind, often with them at this stage, that calm behavior where they're letting you touch them as they're having the treat. They're being very gentle, taking the treats. I like to start to touch their paws and their ears and their tail even as they're taking those treats. And this is just really good early socialization that will carry this puppy into adulthood and be much easier for veterinarians to examine, much less stressed while they're being examined, much happier with everything that we do in the future if we start off on the right paw and get them doing these simple things at an early age. So I hope you enjoy watching Finn. I enjoy training him. Stand. Good. And I hope that you'll try this with your own pups, and I hope you practice with multiple puppies. Try to practice with multiple puppies. If you have friends that have pups, if you can go to a pet store and they'll let you play with the puppies there, and you can pull out some treats and just try to get these puppies to do a sit and a stand while you're there. The more you practice this, the easier it gets, and the more fun you'll have. Stand. Good. Just positioning it right in the right spot. I know right where I need to go. Sit. Good. And he's learning exactly what it takes to get that treat. It takes all 4 feet on the ground. It takes being patient as the treat is delivered, and it takes taking that treat gently to make this all a very successful delivery of the treat. So this is called the food lure method, and the reason is we're literally luring the puppy into position by the way that we position the treat, just like you might lure a fish with a fish lure to get that reward, or in their case, to get caught. Another thing I want to talk to you briefly about is clicker training. So when we talk about clicker training, this is a great opportunity to enter in the clicker to your training if you're going to use it. I recommend that people that are just doing basic level obedience don't really need it, but people that want to do more intricate work down the road, things like service dog work, retrieving work, anything that you're going to want to work at more of a distance, having your dog do, then the clicker is a great thing to introduce. If you're introducing a clicker, it's as simple as taking a treat, taking the clicker, giving the treat, and making a click, just like that. So as I give the treat, I'm just giving a treat. Click and treat comes at the same time. And I happen to be rewarding a nice, calm, sitting dog at the same time. So this is all helping our training. Good. I'm marking good behavior with the sound of the click. It's the same thing as saying good dog with your voice. If I say, good dog. Oh, I shouldn't have said it there. Good dog, Finn. That's the same thing as making the click. It's just marking good behavior with the sound. The nice thing about a clicker is it's going to sound the same no matter who pushes it. So it's just a little lever here that when you push, it makes that sound. And already Finn's associating that sound with good things, and sure enough, good things follow. And so we make this like our voice in the sense that the dog gets used to hearing it when they're doing something that we like them to do. And so by doing it now and using it with the treats and using it with the sit and the stand and the down and all the things we'll be teaching him in the future, we can mark stand, good behavior. And what happens is over time, a dog associates this sound so much with the treat, in their mind it's just like getting a treat. And so later we could tell a dog to come, and as it's coming and moving in our direction and we make that clicking sound, we've got a dog that's being spurred on to continue what it's doing, which is coming to us. So it's used to mark good behavior, and it's a nice tool to use for a lot of things. Stand. But it's not magical. It does the same thing as using your verbal word praise wise. So good dog is the same thing as a click. You just got to do it at the right time. And that's really where we have to be careful, because if you're marking bad behavior, then you're going to get more of that. And so I've seen people use these clickers as their dog is running away and they're trying to get its attention, and it's running and they're clicking, trying to get its attention. Well, what they're doing is telling the dog as it's running away that that's the behavior that we want to mark and reward. And so they're spurring their dog to run away even faster. So just be aware that this is really important to do the right way, and that's by doing it at the right time. And if you want to practice it, it's a lot of fun, and it can add to your training later, but it's not absolutely necessary. If you can say good dog, you have the same thing available in your vocal cords. Stand. Good. Sit. Sit. Good. Stand. Good. Sit.